Hello and welcome. This is episode 115 at Streets and Eats. And today on the podcast, we are talking about Christmas markets.
Christmas markets. It's almost Christmas market season. Not quite. But we figured you're gearing up for it. So if you're
Time to
planning
start
on
thinking about
coming,
'em.
or if you live here, you definitely want to start figuring out where you want to go because there's thousands of them.
Germany is probably the best known country for Christmas markets. I mean, it's where they started, of course. But
Well, German speaking
all of Europe
Europe is where they
has
started.
Christmas markets nowadays. And even further afield, you can find Christmas markets all around the world. But the German Christmas market with a little bit of snowfall, open fires to warm yourself with, a little glass of Glühwein, there's nothing that can beat it.
It really puts you in that Christmas holiday mood, let me tell you. And I'm not a big shopper. So I don't really go to buy a lot of
That's true.
stuff other than food. We like to try all the foods. But it's still fun to walk around, even though it's a market. There's shows and there's things to eat and there's
Rides for the kids.
It's a good time. It's a really good time. So I have the trivia question,
You do?
and it has to do with history, actually, about how popular Christmas markets have not only become nowadays. I mean, they're astronomically popular now, but how popular they got really early on. For example, in which German city? I'm going to give you the country.
Okay.
In which German city in 1616 did a priest have to cancel his Christmas Eve sermon because nobody showed up because they were all at the Christmas market?
1616.
1616.
Well, I mean, it wasn't Germany at the time, but there was no country called Germany at the time. But I think I have an idea.
Well,
For
good.
this
Answer the
one.
question.
I think I know this one because it's got a very famous Christmas market history. It's one of the biggest ones in Germany, and that is Dresden.
Wrong.
Well, I had to try. That's where the Christmas story
Dresden
started.
has the official title for being the oldest
Mhm.
Christmas market in Germany, 1434, I believe. And it's one of our favorites for absolute sure.
Yeah.
We'll tell you about that in a little while. But nope. It is all we've been, of course, and it is it is probably the market that is the most well known throughout the world.
The one that you're talking about, or
yeah,
Dresden?
the one
Oh,
I'm
okay.
talking about.
Well, I mean, there are some biggies.
It's a biggie.
It could be Cologne
Nope.
or Berlin
No.
or Frankfurt
No.
or Munich
No.
or Rotenburg ob der Tauber.
Absolutely not. It is Nuremberg,
Oh, Nuremberg. Duh.
which is probably the most famous one around the world. People know about it the most.
Yes, and every year around Christmas time in Germany and maybe other countries too nearby, they start bringing out the Christmas candy and the Christmas cookies, and one of the ones they always have is Nürnberger Lebkuchen in the really beautiful,
gorgeous tins.
enameled, painted, square tin boxes.
Not just square; they have all different
All
shapes.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, Nürnberger, of course.
Nuremberg. So yeah, in 1616, Christmas markets had become so popular around the country, especially around the German-speaking area.
He just tossed in the Bible and said, "Forget it. I'm going to go get a glass of Glühwein."
I don't think he quite did that. I bet he was not a happy camper,
some
but that's
Nuremberg
beside
Wurst.
the point. But that's beside the point. And Nuremberg is one of the most popular ones. It starts
Yeah,
off
it is.
the Christmas season with the Christkind coming to the Nuremberger market, and there's big pomp and circumstances around it, and it's always one of the local girls who becomes the Christkind, and she's gorgeous with her gold hair and her angel outfit, and it's something to see if you get a chance to happen to be at the Nuremberg Christmas market on opening day. That's when they do it. I think 5:00 each. It's always on a Friday afternoon,
And that's
Well
a really
worth it.
good one because it's all in the, I mean, it's an old walled city, and is in great shape. It's been, of course, reconstructed and renovated after all the wars. And the Christmas market is all held inside the old town, the old city, which, like in some Christmas markets, it's just in a big square, and you don't really get a sense of being
in the town,
but you're at the fest. But here, the fest is all spread through the town in different squares and different plazas. And I really like that. That's really cool.
It's not the only one that's like that.
No, it's definitely not.
They run the gamut. Okay, so about that, why go to a Christmas market? I mean, Jim kind of opened up telling you a little bit about it, but basically, during the winter in Germany, it gets dark by like 4:30, 5 o'clock. It's got that blue hour. It's getting dark quick, and so it's very often drizzly, which doesn't sound comfortable, but it kind of adds to that misty sort of holiday feeling. And you've got this warm drink in your hand, and you've got these wonderful foods that you want to try every time you go. Everybody's got their favorites, whether they be the chestnuts or the candied almonds or whatever.
Dampfnudel.
The Dampfnudel. And we'll talk a little bit more about food in further on the podcast, but it's just one of those things that just gives you this feeling of like when you were a kid, when you thought of Christmas as a kid, you know, where you were so excited and you were going to go see Santa Claus, and St. Nicholas is often coming to visit these festivals. There's all kinds of stuff, and you'll get to see. We'll talk about all the things that you can see and do at one of the Christmas
you're right.
markets.
It all just creates this whole Christmas atmosphere. The cold weather, maybe it's snowing, maybe it's raining. That's okay too. You've got wood fires burning somewhere, so you have the smoke from the wood fires. You've got chestnuts roasting over an open fire over here, contributing their aroma.
Someone's singing Christmas carols somewhere.
You've got the roasting almonds, and that's cooking over here, and that's got its own smell coming up. Of course, the odors of the wine and the Glühwein. It all just like mingles together, and you're just walking through this like Christmas zone.
I think what it does is it makes everyone happy.
Yeah.
I can't even think of one example of people being grumpy and crotchety while we were at a Christmas market. It's probably happened. I'm sure when they wanted that seat or something like that, you know.
Some of them get pretty crowded.
But for the most part, everybody just stands around, whether they're doing a shot of the local, what do you call that stuff? Schnapps, or whether you're doing the more traditional warm drinks or whatever. They're just sitting there talking, and they're all bundled up, or they're by the fire, and everybody's just having a good time.
And they'll scooch over and make room for someone new to join the fire, or scooch on the bench for someone else to fit, even though they probably isn't really room, but they'll make room.
Yeah, it's really fun. So the history. So how did Christmas markets get started? We've already said that in Dresden, it goes back to 1434. And I think they really started around the 1200s. And what happened was it was winter. And if you've been into a German winter, then you know they're dreary and they're cold.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure those people were hungry. Harvest season is well past at this point. They've eaten up all their fresh vegetables and stuff. They probably have some root vegetables in the cellar, if they even have a cellar. They certainly don't have any meat. And what started happening is that it became more and more popular, and the magistrates of the town, which were usually religious figures, bishops and such, gave permission for people to go out and start a fair so they could sell meat and they could get some provisions. So it was really more of a, oh my gosh, my people are starving idea. And then it became, you know, more of a yearly thing. So it was midwinter, people were hungry, and they started it. And then it never really was that associated with Christmas at first, but then it became more and more because it was such a Christian
it's just like a midwinter market type thing.
Yeah. At
okay.
first it was. And then it became more associated with Christmas. And actually, probably the people who get the most credit for turning Christmas markets into the Christmas feel with traditional foods and the Santa Claus and all that, or St. Nicholas, and the boughs and the lights and the
All the
Christmas pyramids and all the
decorations.
decorations were the Nazis,
Oh no.
because it was a propaganda.
Oh no.
Can you believe that? So, hate to- I mean, nobody wants to even talk about them, but
They
took
contributed
this-
that.
They did
Interesting.
take this market that was, not really sort of organized, and then they made some rules about it,
Mm.
and they started making it a tradition that was much more holiday
In
oriented.
a way to sway public opinion, for sure.
Yeah. Well, they were the masters of
Yeah,
propaganda.
they
We know
were.
that.
Yes,
So
they were.
anyway, so it's just very interesting. And then, of course, since after the war, everybody was depressed and there wasn't a whole lot of money. And so they kind of went down in favor a little bit. And then they came roaring back.
yeah.
And now every dwarf, every castle, every huge city, not just in Germany, not just in Europe, but really around the world,
Yeah.
you will find Christmas markets. Jim and I have been to Christmas markets in Casablanca, Morocco.
That's right.
We've been to Christmas markets in Tokyo, Japan.
All over the place.
Literally all over the world. In England, which, I mean, that's more of a Christian country. That makes more sense. But just really, you can't get away from them. They're there, and they're always fun, and they always do have that theme of bringing Christmas what it is, even if it's not a Christian country, which I find very interesting.
Yeah,
and very
the Morocco
cool,
one
actually.
was really, really fascinating
That
to
was
see
the one that
that.
shocked us the most. I think was the one in Morocco.
We just kind of stumbled on that.
We
weren't,
did.
We weren't looking for it. It just happened to be there where we were. And it was a Christmas market, just like in Germany, with a lot of the different Christmas market toys and wood
down
things.
to the wooden huts that they had
the wooden huts
stands.
and Glühwein, even though it was 80 degrees outside.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool. But anyway, they're everywhere. And I think everywhere does a pretty good job with them. I think Germany does the best. Well, and maybe the central area of Europe does the best.
Yeah.
But really, we've been to them all over, and they're all wonderful. But there's just something about living here during the winter that really, really keeps your spirits up, which
you
is
really
kind of
look
nice.
forward to that every year.
I mean, otherwise it could be a very dreary kind of dead place. I had a friend who used to want to escape because if the sunset is so early that it's like just
Can
not
be
enough
very
light. You
dark.
go to work in the dark, you come home in the dark. But if you can come home, put on your boots and your heavy coat and go have a glass of Glühwein, I mean, who's complaining about that?
That's definitely something we have done.
Oh yeah, many times. Many times.
Yeah. We've been fortunate enough to live in a couple places that had pretty good Christmas markets. You can find Christmas markets usually from late November,
Usually
around our holiday of Thanksgiving. It's not tied to that, of course, at all.
At all.
But maybe it is tied to that same, because Thanksgiving is like the fourth Thursday of November.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's tied to like the fourth Saturday of November or something like that. I'm sure there is
It's
a
Advent.
basis for Advent. Yeah. When does Advent start?
I don't know, because I don't know. I just know that it's tied
But
to
a lot of them
Advent.
will start with Advent and they'll go through Christmas. Some of them will go a little bit past Christmas.
The majority are going to be 22nd, 23rd of November to Christmas Eve, or
Mhm.
the day before
The
Christmas
bigger
Eve.
ones, especially.
No, all of them.
No, a lot of the smaller ones are going to be just for 1 or 2 weekends in between that time
I
frame.
agree with you. I was going to get to that. But now what's happened is because they are so popular and because they make so much money that they'll go through the Christmas holiday all the way. So sometimes like Budapest and Munich and Berlin and all these big places, they're going to go until, the first week in January.
Yeah.
So you can, if you've got a Christmas break, a school break, you can even come during that time, although they're much fewer and further between. So that is harder. And like Jim said, the very tiny ones, the ones that are in a castle or the ones that are in a tiny village, they only go for one weekend.
That's right.
One weekend. And that's because the stalls will go to all the little villages in the area, and it gives everybody a chance to have it in their town and have people come and spend money in their town. And like the place that even though it's all over the place, the place that really sticks out in my mind, like that is where you might want to go, would be Alsace, because we love Alsace, as you know, if you've seen some of our, or you've read some of our, one of the things we really love is Alsace, especially, you know, if you've heard some of our other podcasts and stuff. But all the little towns like Riquever and Ribeauvillé, they're gorgeous little towns, but they're tiny. So they have it for one weekend. So if you're going to go in that area, and you don't just want to do the big ones of Strasbourg and Colmar, which are amazing as well.
They're good ones, yeah.
Then you want to make sure you check the calendar so that you can go, if you're there over this weekend, that you're going to go to that village one and make sure that's a priority. Because I personally love the village ones more than the big ones.
They are some of the best.
Even though I love the big ones too. It's not like I dislike the big ones. I just really, I love that small town feeling. And everybody comes out and they're so proud of their town and they're just so happy. Like I said, it does bring a joy. Everybody's happy there.
Yeah.
So,
and you start to find little differences in the smaller ones that you don't really see in the larger ones. Although like Nuremberg has its own special things that you can get there, and Dresden has its own special things you can get there. But you also see that a little bit in the smaller ones too, which I think is really cool.
One of the things that people always want to know is there going to be snow? Really, it doesn't snow that much in Germany or Central Europe at all until January, February.
Yeah.
So chances are it will not snow. Will it rain? Possibly. Will it be cold? Definitely. So that's why I was saying you want to definitely wear some layers. You want to wear your heavy coat. You want to wear boots. I like to wear a pair of ski pants over my clothes because they will keep me from getting wet if it does rain. And they also are easy to take on and off if I want to go inside to a restaurant or something, which I think is always, I mean, it's always a possibility.
It's always an option.
It's always an option. So I like wearing ski pants and, of course, having my hat and gloves and stuff that I can peel off easily when I get to a place. Other people like wearing thermals. I'm not a big fan of the thermals because if you do go indoors, you're going to sweat to death.
Yeah.
So, but do wear layers and definitely make sure you're ready for some bone chilling.
That's right.
Wet cold.
It will be wet cold. Gray and dark. You know, I like to talk about that magical snow that comes down during a Christmas market. And I think that's part of the magic, is because it's not really a heavy snow time in Germany.
It does happen
so
occasionally,
when it happens,
and it's beautiful.
It's like, yeah, that's so cool. It's snowing at the Christmas market.
And we've been sometimes where it has snowed, so there's snow on the ground, but it's melting quickly. But I would say the majority of the time, chances are it's not going to be snowy.
Yeah. So definitely be ready with rain jackets and things that are waterproof for sure.
So how much does it cost to go to a Christmas market? All the big Christmas markets run by the municipalities are free. So you go downtown Munich or Berlin or even to a not so large city like Kaiserslautern, for example, or something like that.
Right.
Those you just go, you park, you go there by public transportation, however you get there. And
yeah, all of those ones are typically free. You just walk into the market and have a good time. Of course, you're going to pay for rides and things like that, but they're usually good prices. Now, some of the themed ones, like if you go to a medieval Christmas market, or you go into like the Christmas markets in the caves in Valkenburg,
or a castle,
or castles,
something like that. Something that's not necessarily themed, but is more privately run.
Right. There, you're probably going to pay a couple of euros for entrance.
Up to 6 or 10 euros sometimes, depending. All of them are different. So you could pay for those, but all the big normal ones are free.
Yeah. And we've been into a couple of those really good paid ones. I think in almost every case, they were worth the price of entry just because of the uniqueness of it. One was, like you said, in a castle. One was in the caves of Valkenburg. One was in a mine in Bavaria, like the mine grounds. That was a really cool one.
we've done a lot of really nice ones. One time down in Bavaria, also they have where you can take the boat out to an island and go around the island. Sometimes they have them where you hike out in the middle of the woods, and they'll have the stands through the woods.
Mhm.
They're just so many different ways that they're presented, and they're all pretty unique and wonderful. So it doesn't really matter where you go. Personally, if I were planning a trip just to do Christmas markets, and we do have some ideas online too on our website, but for me, I think you need to have a good mix of the big cities and some of the more well-known ones, but you also need to go to some of the smaller ones because
Yes.
I just think it's just a different, not really a different feeling, but a little bit closer knit feeling.
And one or two of the really unique ones, like the ones we were talking about in a castle or out on the island. Those are just really unique and fun. You're going to find a lot of the same things at all of them, just to different amounts. You're going to find a Glühwein at all of them. You're going to find a lot of the same different treats at all of them, and even a lot of the same decorations and things for sale. But they're all going to also have something that's kind of unique to them. So
And
that's
what's
really
nice
cool.
is if you are going to different ones, maybe look up what is the special thing at the X market, because
Right.
there will be something special at just about every single one. But as Jim was saying, what to expect at a market, it's going to be rows and rows of wooden little huts that are steaming hot
Yeah.
food. They have like the big grills with the steaks and the bratwurst on them that are swinging.
Cooking over a charcoal.
Or if you're in France or whatever, a lot of times they'll have tartiflette, and they love those big grill things that have big pans full of hot steaming food. You're going to have people standing around drinking their Glühwein or their Feuer Anzangboiles, which is Jim's favorite drink.
I love it.
We have a recipe for that, I think, online as well, but you can tell them real quick
For a
what that is.
Zangenbowle is basically a Glühwein that has rum in it as well. And the rum is soaked into a sugar cone, and then that's lit with a match or a lighter or whatever. So it's burning, and the alcohol's in the melted sugar is all dripping into the drink. And it just gives this kind of like caramelly, really, really rich, deep flavor to the Glühwein that I really like.
And I have to say, I like it too. So, but they also have hot chocolate. They have Eier Punch, which is it's called egg punch, but it's sort of like a
Like an eggnog,
eggnoggy,
yeah.
a hot
Mhm.
eggnog. And they also have, so the kids don't feel left out, they'll have Kinder Punch, which is a hot, basically punch that's heated up, and the kids love it. It's very fruity tasting. So you can find something, or hot chocolate, and you can find something for everyone. And what you want to know about this is that each Christmas market is going to have their own mug. Nowadays, you'll see some that are plastic, a lot are still ceramic. And what you have to do is when you go to pay for your drink, they're going to charge you an extra 2, 3,
Mhm.
€5, depending on how large the mug is and what the going rate is, I guess. And that is what you get back when you return your mug. So it's also the price you pay if you decide to keep your mug. So let's
That's right.
say my deposit, it's PFAND, my fond was €3 for this mug, but I gave them my €3 and I decided I wanted to keep this mug. So that is okay to do because
Perfectly okay.
I didn't get my fond back. And I know many people who collect them. We do not
They're
collect
big
them.
collector's items for
But
sure.
we do have a few that we thought are really cool. We like this one so much that we went to the factory where it was
We
made.
did.
We
the pottery.
love this whole
Like earthenware
earthenware
glazed
mug,
on the
yeah.
inside. This one has a dragon stamped on it. That's really cool. I think we got this at one of the medieval Christmas markets.
I think we did. You're right. So, and then of course they have lots of different foods. So each Christmas market is going to have their own special foods that they have,
Mhm.
plus all the regular foods. All of them are going to have maybe their own wine. Like,
That's right.
and you're in the Landau area, they have this whole thing about their wine is the best wine, which I mean, that goes without saying that there's great wine in Germany. So they really sort of celebrate their wine, and they're like, we've got our wine, so come get it.
Mhm.
Things like that. and just different things like Jim mentioned the Domp noodle, which is a more of a Bavarian or Pfalzer. I think the Pfalzer area is good
They're
for the
around
Domp
here
noodle.
too.
Or it's a steamed dumpling that they usually just smother, and it's floating in vanilla sauce,
Yeah,
and it's beyond.
it's really tasty.
It's kind of a not a very like intricate taste. It
Right.
doesn't have lots of things in it. It's just a
It's
dumpling.
true. It's true.
But it's so good.
Especially on a cold night.
Yeah.
I agree. You're also going to find nativity scenes. Some of them will be live nativity scenes. Some will have live animals. That's really cool. Some of them, like in our town where we lived in northern Bavaria, in Weiden, they had the whole central market area surrounded the old Rathaus, the old city hall, and really beautiful. The whole area was just a beautiful walking area with gorgeous buildings surrounding it, and that building itself was amazing. But they turned that into an advent calendar where they covered all of the windows and put a different number on each window, and each day they would open up a new set of shutters to show
a picture
and
a number
for Advent.
Yeah,
So that
which
was
is pretty cool. And so the advent calendars like that are very big. You'll also see huge pyramids. They have the small pyramids that are run by candles, and the candle makes the propeller turn on the top of the pyramid. But they have replicas of these, and they're huge, and they have like bars in them and stuff. And that's one of the places where you go and get your drink. And you'll find those. You'll find huge nutcrackers. You'll find Christmas trees, of course. You'll find what are some other things? There's so many different kinds of
horse-drawn sleighs, things like that.
St. Nicholas.
Yeah. Of course, not all of them have a carnival associated with them.
Almost all, though.
But most of them will have at least one or two small rides for kids.
Yeah, something for kids.
Yeah.
Some have big carnivals.
And some have big carnivals, yeah.
And some even have places. I saw this actually more in Switzerland and France than in Germany, but they'll have a hut that they have kids' activities.
Oh, yes.
And then you pay like €8, something pretty nominal, and they'll get to go decorate cookies or do a painting or do a Christmas craft
or something
like that. Those are pretty cool too. There's just all different things to do once you're there on top of shopping. I'm not a big shopper, but if you do shopping, you're after the one or two, you kind of get to be a little bit more savvy about what's a really good handicraft from the local area versus here's the regular stuff that you see at every single one.
Could have been made in China for all you know.
I mean, yeah.
You don't see a lot of that, but you definitely do see some of it. The shopping I think is interesting. Like you said, the first few times you do it, you do start to see a lot of things that are the same as you go from market to market. I'm definitely not going to a Christmas market to do my Christmas shopping.
No, but I think some people do.
You can find some good stuff there, like knitted goods and
felted goods,
felt stuff and leather goods.
Katie Wolfhart, the Christmas store, always has beautiful Christmas decorations, and they almost always have booths, especially in the Bavarian area. I don't know if they do everywhere, but especially in Bavaria, you'll see Katie Wolfhart booths, which have the metal Christmas ornaments or the wooden Christmas ornaments, which I love. I do love those. They're so pretty.
Really cool.
And just everything from jewelry to handmade knives to
soap and candles.
I can't even tell you all the things.
Yeah.
And if you're a shopper, you can definitely get your shop on. I am not. I would much rather go find the fire and sit with my
that's right.
Put your arms on boil, but
nibble
that's
on
me.
some treats and eat.
Yeah, because the food is
drink.
really good too. And depending on where you go, you're gonna have some really, like when we were in Strasbourg in France, they had a whole area with local food, which included snails,
yes,
and French onion soup and crepes, which you can get crepes at pretty much all of them,
right?
But these are galettes or French crepe. It's a little bit different, perhaps.
Even a couple of like really gourmet food stands that were just like, wow, that's amazing.
Really good stuff. Foie gras. Yeah. Oh yeah, in Switzerland, I had a foie gras sandwich.
Oh, that's right.
Which was amazing because they had this big, huge area in the Montreux Christmas market. And just
Montreux
really,
Christmas market was really cool because one of the things that they have there is Santa Claus comes in, and we talked about St. Nicholas and Santa Claus or whoever coming to the different Christmas markets, and a lot of the bigger ones especially will have one day where he's going to show up. But here it's like
every day.
he comes flying across the sky in the
Sleigh.
reindeer drawn sleigh, and there's really a guy up in that sleigh waving down at everybody. It's
not
really
real
amazing.
reindeer, though.
Not real reindeer.
But that's pretty cool. I mean, it's fun to watch them go over the lake. It's really fun. And it's not far from Santa's house. So we took AJ to Santa's house
Up on
last
the
year, which
mountains.
was up on the mountain. You take a little cogwheel train up
Yeah.
to the top of this gorgeous mountain, and there is snow there. And that's pretty cool. We'll probably do a video about that. Anyway, and one thing we do want to say that you definitely want to bring cash. There will be ATMs in the area, but even though, especially depending on your purchases, if you go to an actual stuff stand, they might take a card.
Yeah.
But chances are, especially for just eating and drinking and going on rides and things like that, you're going to want to have lots of
Yeah.
cash. So make sure you bring cash, your warm clothes. Make sure you go
Make sure you're hungry because you're going to want to eat that
you're
stuff.
going to want to eat all of that stuff. And this is what we do. We usually go with, 3 or 4 people. I mean, my daughter and her husband and our grandson. So that's 5 people right there.
Right.
And we'll get one of something and all of us will eat a couple of bites of it. So that means we have room to go over here to this
Try all
stand
the
and get
different
something
stuff.
else because we just love trying all the different foods.
And then eventually you get to a point where you've tried everything and everyone's got their favorite. And because they're all at different stands in the kind of the same general area, everyone can just go and get what they want and then meet back and enjoy it.
And like I said, again, make sure you go to all different kinds of Christmas markets. You can look online to find what's special there in Bamberg, talking about the nativity scenes.
Mhm.
They have like 40 different kinds of nativity scenes. They're known for their
Oh, right.
nativity scenes. There's markets in Berlin that have certain different, themes. There's even they're everything all over the place all the time. They're a lot of fun. One thing you definitely need to know about is bathrooms.
Oh,
And this is true of every German
yes.
festival, actually, is that they're going to have what they have are these trailers.
Mhm.
And they're surprisingly clean. And they do have someone who's there monitoring the trailers. And they'll go in after every one person and make sure that there's
Mhm.
toilet paper and make sure that there's no mess on the floor or whatever. So
And-
they're really nice.
And some
And
of
it
them,
costs like €1.
yeah,
But it's so worth it to know that you can go to this trailer and have a stress-free
clean bathroom.
experience versus, times in the past where people would have public bathrooms that are just disgusting. I just don't find that in Germany really at all too
No,
much
it's
anymore.
not too bad.
And pretty much everywhere I've been, the bathrooms have been good. So just know you're probably going to pay for it.
And even
You're
if
paying for a good service. It's well worth it.
even if you don't see someone to pay, there's almost always going to be a little, like a plate or a tray out
To
where you're
yeah.
expected to put, 50 cents or €1. And you should do that.
You
for
should.
sure.
We want to keep them nice and clean. One thing that they have at Christmas markets, not all Christmas markets, mostly in the Bavaria area, in Austria, Salzburger Land, things like that, places like that, specifically in the Alps, are Krampus. And
Oh,
you may
yeah,
have seen the
Krampus.
Krampus movie. Krampus is this grumpy old guy that was sort of the antithesis of Santa Claus.
Right.
And he would come, and he still comes to some little German boys and girls, and he will make sure that they've been good throughout the year. If not, they get switched or
Something.
joked on or something like that. And he's kind of scary looking, but we saw Krampus.
Museum.
We went to a Krampus museum. Where was that?
That was in Tyrol at St. Johann in Tyrol.
It was in Kufstein. It was in
Kufstein.
Kufstein. It was in Kufstein. They had a Krampus museum. That was pretty cool. But also, we went to a Krampus experience when we lived in the Grafenwehr area. and
That's
in
right.
Hamburg. And what happens is they have groups now that are Krampus groups, and it's like, 20 guys or whatever. And they go to the Christmas markets and they run around and they're all dressed up in their costume or whatever. And it's really fun.
They'll
And
put
they'll
on
put
a
on
little
a little
show.
show
Yeah.
that has like fire, and then they go through the fire and stuff.
Yeah.
It's great fun. So there's that to do as well.
Okay.
So
Of course,
I
we
think-
have some favorites.
I think that we've come down to letting you know what it is, letting you know some of the foods we like to eat. Did we talk about food that much? I mean, you can always get langouste and tornado things
Yeah.
and potato pancakes and bratwurst and feuerwurst is what Michael loves the most. And
Crepes, waffles. The new one I've seen is like vegetarian, but it's still deep fried. So like deep fried broccoli, deep fried mushrooms, different things that are deep fried. And another new one that I've been seeing recently are like garlic toast, like a half a roll or a half of a bagel that's slathered in butter and garlic, and they'll put other toppings on it. Those are really popular too.
there's all kinds of different foods. And that's one thing to look up if you're going to X Market. Find out what the special
the
thing they
food?
sell there, what the special food is there. Maybe they have a special day, whatever. But some of the ones that we really loved, the Dresden one, which we did mention before, is one of our favorites. The very first weekend in December every year, they bake the largest stollen in the world. They hold
Yeah.
the record, and it is huge. And what they do is they have on that day also is they have a parade through town. Everything that had to do with making the stollen. So you have your farmers, and you have
Mhm.
your millers, and you have your butter makers, and you have all of these things, and they're all dressed up, and they walk through the town. And then at the very end of the parade, on this huge carriage, they have this huge stollen that you can eat.
Yeah.
And you have to buy a token that when we were there cost €5. It might be more now, I don't know. But you buy a token in order to get a piece of the stollen. So you've had some of the biggest stollen in the world. And that is only one of the weekends, and it goes on as long as the rest of the Christmas markets. But that first weekend in December is really the best time to go to that one. And we loved it. We had
Yeah.
a great time.
I think a really pretty one is Bruges in Belgium.
And Leuven too.
And
Both
Leuven.
of those.
And I don't know if it's just a Belgian thing or what, but you don't see this as much in Germany. Like, I'm trying to think if I've seen it at all, but they'll have skating rinks set up
Mhm.
at the Christmas
they do have
market.
skating rinks in Germany,
I've seen a
but
couple, I
but
think.
they're not as I don't know. They're not in the same place. Like in Bruges, it was right in front of the huge
Yeah,
church, and it's like
It was
it's
part
almost
of
like
the Christmas market.
That. Yeah, it's
It's
part
all
of
around
it,
it.
and people are skating right into the bell tower. I mean, how pretty is that?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So in Munich at the airport,
Yeah,
they
Munich
have a
Airport.
Christmas market. So if you're just flying through Munich and want to get to a Christmas market, you can. And there is a skating rink at that one as well.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Actually,
You'll
that's
find Christmas
one of my
markets
favorites too.
It is because you're not eating airport food that way.
Yeah, right.
We already mentioned the Valkenburg Caves, which is in the Netherlands. That one's pretty cool.
Really
And we
unique.
also went to Maastricht, which I thought was a really nice Christmas market. You could have your puffetrus and your stroopwafels, and it's just in a square kind of area, but it was just sort of very comfortable and Christmassy, and I really like that one.
Yeah. Medieval markets, like in Esslingen. The Ravenna Gorge is a super popular one that everybody seems to want to go to nowadays. It's in a gorge with an old train trestle bridge going over it. And so
And the
you're
train's
down
still
there.
using it while you're at the
Yeah,
market.
you're down there and enjoying the market, having some glühwein, standing around the fire, and the trains are going over every now and then. That's really cool.
Well, it's just in a beautiful.
And it's an area where you're
Setting.
more likely to get snow too. So
Yeah, that was one of the ones. We didn't snow on us while we were there, but it did have snow on the ground.
yeah,
Baden-Baden.
that's a beautiful
It's
one.
just, I don't know why we like that
Probably
one
my
so
favorite.
much, but it's just got a really nice feel. It's got good handicrafts. The people were
course, good
really
food.
friendly, really good food. Just, I honestly, I don't know if there was anything real special about it.
Yeah.
They do have igloos where you can do fondue, and we're doing that this year. We haven't done it yet, but we're going this year because we're so excited about it. And then, there's ones in France, there's ones in England. We've been to Prague. It's a huge one right downtown. That's beautiful. And we're not even talking about the normal ones people go to here, like Rothenburg ob der Tauber or Bamberg or There's just beautiful ones everywhere.
There are some destinations that you're going to want to go to anyway. And if there's going to be a Christmas market at the same time, well, that's just like icing on the cake. So
to speak. Icing on the gingerbread house.
That's right.
All righty. Well, at any rate, we have a lot of information about Christmas markets on our blog, and we know you're going to enjoy them. And please get out there and do little ones, big ones, medieval ones.
A little bit of everything.
Christmassy ones all along.
Sample a little bit of all the food, try the different hot drinks, and just soak up the atmosphere of Christmas. All right. Thanks for listening to this episode of Streets and Eats. If you liked what you heard, please show us some love, hit the like button, and leave us a review. Maybe even subscribe so you don't miss any future podcasts. Also, we'd love it if you joined us on our Facebook private group, Streets and Eats, where we just have an ongoing conversation about all things travel. Ciao for now.